Hello everybody, my name is Stella Gilmartin and I'm the Equality and Diversity Officer at Belfast City Council. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to you, and I am really sorry that I can't be there in person, but I hope that this presentation is informative and helpful to you in your conference. And before I begin, here is a short video showcasing Belfast. What I really have been asked to talk about today is how Belfast City Council manages the disability agenda and why we were shortlisted and awarded an Access City Award in 2014. We were given that award for the built environment, and it is on that basis that my presentation is today. So we have a very important document, a disability strategy, and we call it a living document. It's not one for the shelf or the office. It really is owned and mainstreamed across the council. We have an action plan and we review it every year. We also have a biennial event on disability issues, and one of the most exciting we had last year was Dr. Robert White from Glasgow. He was an architectural student who lost his vision, and he transformed his understanding of the built environment and the importance of architecture. I learned more through that speech than I have in lots and lots of work that I've done. So I highly recommend, if you are interested, to contact him for his work. Belfast also puts a lot of information out to the public. We consult on goods, services and facilities with disabled people biannually at a consultative forum. We also have all the policies of the council, no matter how small or how large. We look at the policy in relation to disability, and we try to make sure that there is equality of opportunity for disabled people in all aspects of our work. We report to the consultees on outcomes of the equality proofing every 3 months, and we place all the documents on our website. Now that I've just mentioned the website, can I just spend a little time talking to you about social media? Social media has changed the way we do business, and it has made the work and the communication systems of the council very, very different. So I just want to tell you a little bit about how we do it and how we do this in Belfast. We connect with citizens through the media, residents' magazines. Every resident in the city receives up to 6 magazines a year, and that is full of information about our waste management, our holidays, new schemes, activities in the arts, leisure centres, you name it, it's in there. And what we have done proactively is to ensure that disabled people with visual impairments get the magazine in the format that they wish. So if they wish it to be in Braille or Digital Daisy or large print, we have organised that right across the city, and at the moment 800 people receive our magazine in the way they wish. We also spend a lot of time on email and marketing and e-signs, and using that mechanism we find that disabled people who use computers quite a lot in their life are able to get access in the format they wish. Of course, we do a lot of advertising to make sure that people are aware of how to get to our services. The website has been totally revamped. We continually strive to make it as accessible as possible. We are working towards AAA standard, and it is an ongoing piece of work within the corporate communications team to keep the website as accessible as possible. And social media. You know, we're talking about Facebook and Twitter and Flickr, and we are trying to make sure that we use YouTube effectively in all our campaigns. So the aim of our objective in social media was to promote a positive image and a reputation, to engage a one voice, to approach a one voice to approach communications, and to enable greater access to information for all of our citizens and all of the people actually coming to the city, whether that be to work or to play or as a tourist. We want to make sure that everybody feels that they can access the facilities in our city. We want it to be accountable, open, transparent, and we wanted to make sure that we provide civic leadership to the rest of Northern Ireland. We are the largest council operating in Northern Ireland, and therefore we do feel that it is important that we show civic leadership. Of course, Europe, worldwide, and Belfast is no different. We are in a period of austerity, and the budget cuts make a huge impact on the lives of people who need our services. So we have to be efficient. We have to be careful about sustainability issues. So our aim is to provide excellent services for all our citizens and all the people who visit Belfast, but we need to make it as efficient as possible, and using social media has become one of the good news stories recently. So what we're trying to do is match the channels to the audiences, and that means that we have a very good corporate communications team that keep up to speed with all the changes going on, and making sure that the work that we do is promoted at the right channels and to the right people. Okay, so you can look on our Twitter feed and find out what people are saying. You know, they might make queries, they might make complaints, they might say well done, and there's this huge live feed going through the council all the time. So how do we do that? Well, we researched best practice, we set up a trial, and we set up social channels, really to find out what was the best approach. And then we jumped. And I think as a council, most people believe that councils are very slow and bureaucratic. Well, in this regard, we really did grasp the nettle and jump. And so what did we do next? Well, we made sure that we advertised, we got on Facebook, we got our Twitter account, we set up Flickr and the YouTube systems, and we got very active in the medium that the media outlets that people are using. So what happened then? All of a sudden, people started accessing us, and we were very, very excited. And whilst these figures are out of date now, they just show the huge spike in people coming and using our social media sites. And that means that our sites are much more accessible to disabled people. And guess what? We saved some money, which is super. And our resources were keen, versatile and responsible. I mean, we made sure that we keep our resources efficient. And so a lot of people said to us, don't be silly, that's not for everybody, that's just for children and young people. It'll never work, people said. And they said, oh, what if someone says something bad about us? And then they said, we're the council, we don't do things like that. Well, we do, and it worked, and it wasn't just for children. And we were corporately shocked at how popular the social media outlets have become. So what did we learn? We learned that to be true, to be honest, to be realistic, to be brave, and to be on the ball was what people wanted us to be. I'm not saying that some mistakes are not made, but if you actually approach them honestly, people respond a lot better than trying not to answer questions or not to deal with queries that come in. So what's next? Well, we have to monitor the trends and watch what customers say, and we have to be nimble. We have to be ready for the next change in this very technologically advanced era that we live in. Okay, so in terms of the council, how does all that operate, and how do we successfully get to the disabled community? Well, we have 2 disability champions. One is an elected representative and the other is a chief officer. And that puts our commitment right at the top of the organisation. Disability Champion Chief Officer hosts an interdepartmental access group with key officers feeding in information to talk about what are the disability activities going on across the council. We have an action plan and we report regularly on updates. There are many projects all the time, but for today I just wanted to talk about 4 projects that you might be interested in and which I presented to Europe for the Access City Award. These projects highlight the dedication of our staff. They also show dedication for disabled people who work with us throughout the year and every year to ensure that Belfast is uniquely an accessible city. So the 4 projects I want to talk to you about are the built environment, which is the Musgrave Therapy Garden, transportation, shop mobility scooters across the city, information and communication, which is a good morning service call to older and vulnerable people to check on their well-being, public facilities and services, and that project is a Disabled Go, internet access information to all the activities in the city. So I'll just take them one by one. The Musgrave Therapy Garden. As part of the development of the park, the Therapy Garden forms one part of the Community Development Zone. It is a very new way of inviting people into our parks, to get our parks more active rather than just green spaces. So we set up a community garden, an area for group allotments where people can grow vegetables and flowers, and an area for individual allotments where people can individually take charge of growing vegetables or flowers if they want. It is hoped that through the development of the therapy garden, other projects will follow. We certainly have found that there is support and enthusiasm for the stakeholders and the user groups that they really want this to go on, not just to be a finite project. So how did we do this? We involved partners, schools, children with learning disabilities, user groups, friends of the parks, disabled people who like to get involved in projects in the council, local community groups, council parks and outreach staff, community artists got involved, the public health agency teams, European funders, and the Musgrave Park Hospital, which is adjacent to the park. And they thought that this would be a fabulous place for patients who were able to go outside and find a lovely haven to rest. So we got the detailed design of the therapy garden, was developed in partnership with 4 special schools that are in the area surrounding the park: Glenveigh, Harberton, Fleming Fulton and Oakwood. And it was this engagement at the very beginning of the project that made this therapy garden a success. Because if you can imagine 4 schools getting involved in this project, it's 4 schools and their families and their friends and their communities. And it is that network that makes this very, very special. And I highly recommend the involvement of people, appropriate people at the beginning of any project such as this. So we, as part of the garden's all-inclusive development workshops, we organise projects with the schools, as I've said, with a homeless centre and a respite unit for people who were needing special care. And these groups are still involved with the garden through art, horticultural workshops, and a network of interested parties continue to grow, indicating the success of the original and initial project. With plans complete and initial equipment and specialist services approved and procured, Phase 1 started in February 2010. The outdoor class room includes a bespoke planter, a story circle and a meeting area, a pergola, a willow tunnel, storage facilities and the path network with associated drainage and earthworks. I know it's very difficult to visualize this. I have a few pictures, but maybe you need to come and see it. But for those who do design buildings, they will understand the concept of involvement and the detail and that is required to get this correct. So that's a picture of one picture of the therapy garden. I can, if required, put up, if you email me, I can get other pictures across to you. So the impact of this garden was to promote the learning skills for child development in an enjoyable, playful environment by fostering the development of coordination, social awareness and interaction, to benefit people who find it difficult to process sensory stimuli. And that's why we called it, in general, a therapy garden, because it benefited not just these groups, but everybody who comes to visit the garden. And it has become quite well known as a place of calm. The equipment selection, we made sure that it was age independent, sensory focused, all inclusive. It was a garden, not a container. And the equipment had been selected to encourage exploration of the senses. And that's what makes it quite interesting. There is a large, attractive stationary play area, highly polished steel domes, which act like giant mirrors for climbing and sliding. There's a suite of outdoor musical equipment, including drums and chimes. There's a selection of motion play equipment to encourage physical exercise and spatial awareness. And sometimes when I sit in my office, I'm always wanting to go and spend some time there. And so that, I know you may not be able to see it very clearly, but that's that area I've just been describing. And that's a young girl playing in the sand with specialist equipment. Okay, so the therapy garden has been so far very, very successful. It's a great example of what can be achieved through partnership working and community engagement. The ongoing support from the community groups and schools and members of the public is the key to bringing this to life. You can actually go and see us on this on the YouTube video if you want. But can I just say that it's like all things that are very successful. For the people it was meant for, it was very successful, but we were very shocked by how many other people love the park as well. So if you get it right for one group, it tends to be a very positive experience for everyone. So the second project I'd like to talk to you about is Shop Mobility. And it is practical support given to disabled people or people with mobility impairments to enable access to Belfast city centre. Belfast is surrounded by hills, and it's very flat in the city itself, in the district, in the shopping district. So it's very accessible for disabled people using wheelchairs or for scooters. And we find that many older people with slight impairments or heart conditions or mobility issues were able to go and get a scooter and you get to more shops, and it became a very, very, very popular way of doing business in the city. And then we found out, well, why can't we extend this out further? So in conjunction with Shop Mobility as an organisation, we decided to run some rambles in the parks. So Shop Mobility scooters are located all year round in the parks for some people who just want to come and take the scooter out and bring their dog or their children and just go with their families in the park, and it has opened up a whole new life for many disabled people. And so if you can see the scooters there, and then the other this is an example of a ramble group, and it means that sometimes up to 20 people will come along with their scooters, and they will get a talk from the gardener in the park about the flora and fauna. And the third project is one of the most exciting projects I have enjoyed. It's called Good Morning Belfast, obviously taken from Good Morning Vietnam. And the project provides a free telephone care service for vulnerable and older people, designed to reduce loneliness, ill health, and fear of crime so that they can remain independent within their own homes. And when I got involved in this project, I have an elderly mother myself, and I would phone her maybe 6 o'clock when I got home from work, or maybe sometimes at lunchtime. But after this project, I realized that it was terribly important to have that morning contact so that you welcome the person into the day. And then I can phone again at 6 o'clock or lunchtime just to check she's fine. And I do that religiously every single day. And if I forget, she phones me up and say, "You haven't called this morning." And it has become a ritual. If I don't phone by 9, she's on the phone. So it's a lovely piece of contact for somebody who lives on her own, and that has become a great service. So really what is happening, it's providing daily telephone calls to check on the well-being of the members who are in the group. Alerting the carers, we have a list of telephone calls to contact people. Statutory services or neighbours who are on our list when repeated calls go unanswered. So people feel very safe and they know the call is coming. This provides service users and their families with a great sense and peace of mind. A core element of the service is not only to provide emotional support to its members, but to also create a connection service for beneficiaries. So the more you're on the list, you know, someone may say, I've run out of my medication, can you get me some help? And everybody knows that that can be sorted out, and it's very, 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 very effective. And it's not a very expensive programme. The service allows users to maintain their access to local activities, building their resilience while developing and sustaining personal health and well-being. And I think that human contact for older people is important. And finally, the last project I want to talk to you about is Disabled Go. And this was set up in London by a gentleman called Gregory Burke, who was at university, I think at Oxford, and he developed an illness and was a wheelchair user for some time. And he was shocked at the inaccessibility of buildings, roads use, city use. He couldn't understand why attitudes, all of a sudden to him, people's attitudes to him changed. And so he endeavoured to set up this organisation where he would be able to go onto the internet and type in a restaurant, a club, a building, an art centre, a museum, to be able to say, can I bring my wheelchair there? Can I get into the toilets? Is there an accessible toilet? If I want to go away for the weekend and I want to go to a hotel, do you have an accessible room that is right for me? And so that began a very important project called Disabled Go. So Belfast produces and continues to maintain an online access guide to over 700 venues and services that are accessible to the public across Belfast. So the guide was launched in 2007 and it's available free of charge to anybody who wants to go onto the site. And it's also featured on the Belfast City Council site, and we try to communicate that as best we can. We host an annual event to look for feedback from disabled users, local employment opportunities arising from annual updates from surveyors, and we're very aware that this also extends to visitors coming into the city. We have a lot of ships that come in, cruise ships, and if there's a disabled user, they can get that information online before they arrive and very quickly correct their stay. So it has been a very effective way of doing business, and we continue to update that all the time. The guide is kept up to date annually. All changes to the venue's physical access is checked by a Disabled Go surveyor. So the information stays up to date, useful and reliable. We are committed to this project for 3 years, up to 2016. Well, in conclusion, I hope you have found this information useful. I would like you to contact me if you would like more information about our structures or about our services, or about any of the projects I've talked about. I've left my email address, and of course, if you come to Belfast, I work in the City Hall, in the centre of the city, and I will be delighted to welcome a delegation, or if you're in town, give me a call and we'll have a chat. I wish you very, very well and hope that your conference is a success. Thank you.